who will be followed by Malaysia. Cuba, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Cuba supports the statement delivered on behalf of the non-aligned movement. Mr. President, in the article entitled Palestinian Holocaust in Gaza, the historical leader of the Cuban Revolution, Fidel Castro Ruz, stated the following, and I quote, "The Nazi genocide of Jews outraged all of the earth's peoples. Why does this government believe that the world will be insensitive to the macabre genocide which today is being perpetuated against the Palestinian people? Perhaps it is expected that the complicity of the U.S. empire in this shameful massacre will be ignored?" End quote. The main problem continues to be the systematic aggression by Israel towards Palestine, with the consequence of a number of crimes that are committed against the Palestinian people. In recent weeks, we have witnessed how Israel, in grave violation of the provisions of the 4 Geneva Conventions and of human rights principles, has intensified its military attacks and shelling of areas and civilian targets in Gaza. This has caused the death and destruction throughout Palestine, particularly in the besieged Gaza Strip. Cuba roundly condemns Israel's new aggression against the civilian population in the Gaza Strip. Israel uses its military and technological superiority to carry out a policy of collective punishment characterized by a disproportionate use of force, which causes a loss of innocent civilian lives and huge material damage. The figures of Palestinian civilian victims are alarming. The number of those killed has reached almost 2,000, and of them 400 are children. The wounded, many of them who have been seriously injured, is approaching 10,000. We call on the international community to demand that Israel put an end to this new escalation in violence. Only holding talks on an equal footing will lead to a just and lasting peace that will allow the Palestinian people to exercise their inalienable rights and to definitively establish a Palestinian state with its capital in East Jerusalem. It is unacceptable to see such impunity. Cuba recognizes the resolution adopted by the Human Rights Council in its special session. The Security Council, we urge the Security Council to fulfill its duties. As long as the Security Council does not fulfill its role in terms of maintaining international peace and security, and as long as practical measures and concrete measures are not taken so that Israel put an end to these aggressions against the Palestinian people, what we will see is a continuing Israeli occupation, and its policy that is arbitrary, criminal, and expansionist will only continue, as will its impunity. The illegal Israeli occupation of the Palestinian territories and other Arab territories are the main obstacles in terms of achieving a just peace and a lasting peace, as well as being obstacles to achieving a solution, reaching a solution to the situation in the Middle East. Israel's conduct deliberately contravenes United Nations resolutions, and it also represents a threat to peace and security regionally and internationally. It violates the human rights of an entire people. The Palestinian people are suffering owing to the increasing number of illegal Israeli settlements. They are suffering because of the construction of an illegal wall. It isolates entire communities and is an obstacle to the establishment of the Palestinian state. People are suffering because of Israel's demolition of Palestinian homes and also its displacement of thousands of people. The reality is very difficult and distressing in terms of the number of Palestinian prisoners. The deteriorating humanitarian situation in the besieged Gaza Strip is of great concern, and as is the unjust blockade of this area and nighttime military attacks by air, killings, kidnappings, and torture. Since June 12th, the Israeli army has been carrying out hundreds of violent military raids in Palestinian homes in the West Bank. It has been arresting and detaining hundreds of Palestinians, added to the thousands of Palestinian prisoners that are already in Israeli jails. Only the end of the settlement policy, the liberation of Palestinian prisoners, and the lifting of the blockade against the Gaza Strip will allow the beginning steps to be taken in a political process, one that is significant and one that establishes peace in the region. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
I thank the distinguished representative of Cuba.